Tonight, we will dig into the heart of the issues. Joining me from Lagos studio here is a professor of law at the University of Lagos. Professor Oyelawa Oyewo joins us now. Many thanks, Prof, for joining us on the program tonight. And also joining me is a former presidential candidate and policy analyst, Mr. Gatima Lima. Many thanks, gentlemen, for coming on the program. Let's begin. It's 2 years now. It looks so how time flies. Let me start with you, Professor, and let's begin with anti-corruption, assessment of the anti-corruption war of the present administration. How far do you think this government has gone based on its promises on the issue of anti-corruption war?
Well, on the issue of anti-corruption war, you can say that the government started out of the blocks with a lot of intention, with a lot of energy. However, 2 years down the line, I believe the government has learned a lot of lessons. If you want to fight anti-corruption war, you may not want to start with a media campaign. You may want to really assess, do some institutional fine-tuning and even identify the areas of problems before you start, the propaganda that we saw. So what has happened in essence is that the anti-corruption war was started, but what will be the measure for saying that there's been a success? You will want to see convictions. Is that also? Have we seen the convictions? We've seen a lot of discovery of money, particularly with the advent of the whistleblower policy from the Ministry of Finance. However, a lot of these monies to have been shrouded in controversy. The last money that came out, it turned out was money being claimed by different agencies of government. The stinge that was being taken out by the DSS have all been, bogged down with controversies. So it appears that, yes, the government had the intention to have this anti-corruption war, but the institutional approach that was taken might have been defective and, compromised the success of it. And that's why the slogan came out that corruption fights back. You must know that corruption will fight back. In all change of regime, you know that established interest will react to displacement. So if you want to dislodge the establishment, you must know the root of it so that your attempt to dislodge them will be successful. But if you go into the camp of an understood, corrupt establishment, then you get sandbagged, as it were. So it appears that, yes, the corruption fight is going on the media, the pages of newspaper and television. But in concrete terms, how far have we gone?
Psychologically, has it helped also?
Psychologically, I believe the Nigerian populace have been let's say, have been overexposed, as it were, to the level of corruption. And once you're exposed to something, you become numb. People are numb to the sheer figures. You find dollars that can, finance budget for development sitting down in places. And you start to wonder, how did we get here? So as a result, you don't find people going on the streets to protest. If these figures were discovered in some places, there will be accountability. It will be traced to somebody. Trace this money to somebody, hold that person accountable. When we talk about accountability, must be followed with some sanctions. And some sanctions must show that this particular line of behavior is not acceptable. But when you discover it, we see it, and at the end of the day, you wonder, okay, so what lessons are we to learn from this?
I'll still come back to you, Prof, especially when the question was thrown to the president in London, in the U.S. when he traveled and he was granting an interview to CNN Zaman Paul and said, is he ready to fight corruption within his own immediate cabinet, and some of the things that we have seen afterwards. Let me quickly come to you, Mr. Lehman, on this one. fighting corruption, and some people have laid allegations on people who are even within the immediate circle of the president, whether or not he really had the political will of fighting corruption. Yes, he did say he wants to fight corruption as a major agenda of government. Do you see sincerity of that purpose?
Of course, there's a lot of sincerity in Mr. President's effort to fight corruption. But let me seize this opportunity to wish him well. He's in London now, and he's recovering. May the good Lord Almighty give him a quick relief so that he can come back and continue the good job that he had started. The Buhari that people voted for, they trusted him very well, that he has that genuineness, that intention to fight the corruption. And what we've seen, like you said, the inner circle, we've seen what had happened to the secretary to the federal government. Yeah, that's Baba Lawal, that's the suspension and all that. Nobody who is not serious would have gone to that extent to have nailed a central figure. Earlier on, there were accusations that he was only going after the opposition. And of course, it was the opposition that was in government. There were the politically exposed individuals that were in government at that material time. So it was natural that they were sitting on vast amount of money. And what we've seen in this country, like the Prof has rightly said, it's humongous amount of money that otherwise, would have gone into a development project that has brought this recession and other negative consequences to the country. So it's one of the key objectives of the government to fight corruption, and I believe very strongly that they're genuine about going ahead to deal with this canker. All
right, we will take a moment, but when we return from this break, we are going to be joined by the spokesperson of the president, Mr. Femi Adesina, who will be joining us from our Abuja studio. It's the 2 years of President Muhammadu Buhari. My intellectual guest here will be dissecting and breaking the issues. Now, the question is, how far? Join us again.